Let's see if we get the audio, because this kills me every time. There's a bit of a delay when it goes to the WeTubes, but I think we're back. I think we're recording. I'm pretty sure it's the Modern Relics podcast. And I'm Angel, and he's Lucky. And what's up, dude? Oh my god! Yeah, we're live.
Up.
Everything's up.
Good. I'm glad we are live.
Yeah.
It has. It always makes my heart skip a beat when we get started, and I'm not sure if we're actually going to broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, me too. It's like we lost one episode already. This is our 13th. It's technically our 14th show. There's one just in the 8th or somewhere with no audio. Yeah. But happy holidays, man. We just had a big Thanksgiving. Yeah. Thanksgiving came and went like a thief in the night. I don't know if that's the right.
Probably not the right.
Probably not the right analogy there. Yeah.
But I know what ball you're kicking on.
Yeah.
But dude, let's just start it out.
Let's get there.
That turkey. I smoked that turkey
Good.
for 13 hours.
How was it? Talk to me.
It was the best turkey I've ever had. It was so moist.
Yeah.
And dude, I kept a pan underneath it for the drippings.
Mm-hmm.
And every half an hour I was out there just basting it with those drippings. And then I had like this butter, garlic, and herb solution that I just pour on it too. And oh man, it was the best. We're still eating it. Like I still have, like I've made a soup. We made a whole bunch of other stuff with it.
Did you just do it in like one of those aluminum pans, like one of the buy over the counter ones?
Straight on the grill. They tell you not to do it in the pan.
Okay.
Put the pan underneath it for the drippings.
Sure.
But don't put it on the inside of a pan in the smoker itself. But we had a 24-pound bird, and we smoked it for 13 hours.
Damn.
So like it was a big boy, and we smoked that bitch, and it was good. We ended up eating a little later than we wanted to because I just couldn't get that turkey up to temp in time. But I ended up cranking up the heat a little bit in the smoker just to speed it up, because I was like, it's mainly there, and I'm not going to dry it out in an hour.
Right.
Like, so let's just get this thing rolling. And so yeah, we've had our friends the Randalls came over, and that was great. Yep. And their kids, and then one of my artists, Frank, came over, and my mother-in-law popped by for a little bit, and my mom was here. But it was pretty low key. It was pretty mellow. There was tons of food, tons of dessert.
Nice.
And then some of Kate's friends, Sarah and the Scooby Gang.
Yeah, I was going to say the neighborhood. Quorum.
3 or 4 of them came over and had dinner with. They had second dinner with us because they had dinner with their family. And
remember when we could do that when we were young? Like, I'll have a 5th plate. I'm a growing boy. Now you're like, you go back for seconds, but they're a bit smaller, and then you're just like, ugh.
I go back to seconds out of obligation.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because I have a desire to eat more, but an obligation to the people in the room and to just trying to make a dent in all the food that's there. You know, I will suffer for this.
So there's a couple of things I was thinking about this the other day that are like, life's little mysteries or pleasantries that like not everyone gets to experience. And when you try to share some shit that you're really into, it is a 50-50 chance that it's either going to take to whoever you're sharing it with, or it's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not for me. The two things that I think everyone should experience is smoking food in a smoker and coffee. Like the way that you're able to create coffee in an espresso machine. Now, I know that these are items.
You have blessed us with 2 items.
I'm so stoked you're getting your mileage out of it, because it's like, those are 2 things that are like, man, where was I without this stuff? Like all my life, it's like one of those revelations,
Cook outside of the smoker now. I'm like just trying to figure out how to put everything in that thing. Like, I was like, oh man, I got to cook on the stove, on the oven, and it's kind of almost like a chore to cook unless you're cooking on a smoker now. It's like bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, the cleaning process is never fun with that stuff, but it is so easy to like partially or mostly boil some potatoes and then throw your seasoning on them and chuck them in the smoker and let them go for hours before dinner. You know, put a little oil on them so they don't get dried out and just kind of set it and forget it type of thing. But yeah, those are those two things. Like upon reflection, I'm like, if I could give everyone in the world a chance to have an espresso and a smoked some kind of meat dinner. I mean, we did drumsticks. We did, Paul came down recently and he made some drumsticks that are absolutely killer. And he's been a long time charcoal guy too. And he was just like, this is fucking nuts, dude. And I was like, yes. So I'm glad it took, man. I'm glad you guys are getting your mileage out of it for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I got it. And I tried it again because I did clean it today. And I remember how we were talking last time about trying to get a little bit more smoke out of it.
Yeah.
So I did put a little bit of aluminum foil over one of those 3 holes down there. And it's still, we had one extra pan of uncooked, had been sitting in the fridge, uncooked stuffing. I was like, this is a good thing to test out on. I could do it in an hour, throw it in there. And I got an initial smoke roll going, and then it disappeared, and it just stayed hot, but did not really have a heavy smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And it tastes great, and there's a light smoke flavor, but not the rich smoke flavor that I'm looking for. So I'm going to do some YouTube university kind of research on it and kind of figure out how do I get more smoke out of my smoker. That way, I just get what I'm looking for out of it. You know, I mean, it's gives a little bit of a smoke, but I'm not getting the smoke roll like when you were out here and when for my first couple of times, and I don't know why it's burning too. I don't know what it is, and so. But anyway, how was yours?
Mine
was normal, average. You know, but you went traveling. You traveled for the holidays.
Yeah.
How was your holiday?
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask about how was your smoker. I was like, well, I have a bunch of different flutes. The traveling was good. I went to America's favorite destination, Denver, Colorado. It was colder than I wanted it to be. The first day I got there was absolutely gorgeous. It was like in the 70s. And then not a full 48 hours later, it was literally snowing. And I'm like, get me to the airport. I need palm trees. Quick, I have to go home. It was really, really good. One unexpected surprise for me, and this is how I know I'm getting old, is I could give 2 squirts of piss about going to museums. I have never liked museums. I like going to art galleries. Like Van Gogh came through the SAM when I was living in Seattle. I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to go check that out. There's things like that I can appreciate. But just going to museums, I've never had, and my dad's a big World War II. I think all dads are. Like piece of history where it's like, I'm going to do this and that. I went to this house that was reclaimed by the city of Denver, and now it's a monument, and it's for Molly Brown, who did not die on the Titanic.
The unsinkable Molly Brown.
That's her. Yeah. It was incredible. If you check out my Instagram, I put up a bunch of photos after I edited them when I came home, but there was a lot of really amazing history that was like laden inside of there. And we didn't do a guided tour. We just kind of like milled around, and they were like, hey, we just asked that, like, try not to touch stuff. A lot of the shit was made in the late 1800s and early 1900s and stuff. And like the lead-based paint, and there's probably asbestos and stuff. And so just don't disturb things, but have a look around. And just the amount of cool cutting edge technology that was in that house, because they were filthy rich, because her husband struck gold or whatever, that I found absolutely amazing. The first clothes washing machine where you had to pump a foot pedal, and it like actually spun 2 weights around a wash tub on the inside. That was
cool. Yeah.
They had an old Singer sewing machine that was the pedal rocker one, which my mom actually had when I was growing up. We always had one with like a flat top table.
One. Yeah, we've got one in the house here.
So cool. They had that. They had a couple pieces from the RMS Olympic, which was like the Titanic's sister ship. Once it retired, they got like the navigation system out of that, and it's like on display in the bottom part of the gift shop and stuff. But it was really cool. There's a lot of undisturbed stuff that they've just kept in perfect order there. And it was just really neat, just to walk through history in a half an hour or less or whatever.
You've awakened something you didn't realize, and it is actually you reach a certain age,
Yeah.
and museums become cool, and it's weird.
Yeah, like there's a ticket for some Denver festival that was, December 12th, 1901, and it's like the admission ticket is literally this big, and it's, there's the way it was printed and stuff. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I took a million photographs. I put the ones I like the most up on the Instagram. But yeah.
Yeah, she was known as, because of the gold rush that her husband struck gold, they were known as new money. They weren't old money. And she was very much looked down upon by all of the kind of the elite.
The elite, yeah.
Yeah. And she didn't care, man. She was just like, I don't care. She kicked open doors and spent money like crazy. And
she did a lot of really cool shit. She ran for Senate. She was like behind the women's suffrage thing a lot. She was rallying troops. She was all over the Johnson, dude. She did everything that one could do with
that's who Kathy Bates played in the movie.
Yeah, an unlimited amount of money. And I think what was kind of fascinating is they actually cast that perfectly well based on the photographs of her.
Oh yeah.
I was like, God damn. they James Cameron nailed that one.
Yeah.
But
else could have played her like that though. But,
I left that with a profound sense of I'm old. I was like, I hate this stuff. And it actually was kind of cool. So,
dude, every time we go to Boise, Aaron stays at the Capitol, and I take the kids to either the Penitentiary Museum, which is super cool. We've gone twice.
Not a good place to abandon your kids, or is it?
No. There's plenty of places to sleep. But there's but they have a military museum, like this old guy, who collected firearms and weapons his entire life, going all the way back into the Roman era, all the way into Vietnam.
Wow.
And he ended up dying, and he had no relatives, so he donated it to the prison. And there's this, and apparently it's only a fraction of what he had, but there's this massive, beautifully curated, going through the timelines, all the way through, winding through this whole museum of all of this different type of military gear and weaponry.
Seems like a weird place to keep military weaponry over the ages at a prison.
Well, it's obviously the prison hasn't been a prison since '73. So, but it's like, but it is
showing the inmates place, right? This is what you could use as a tool for freedom.
You can have this, right? Yeah. But yeah, it was fast. That was an incredibly fascinating tour. We did it twice, and then we also did like the Idaho State Museum, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know so many things I didn't know, and I was just like, "What? That happened? No way!"
People ask me a lot about Idaho is just known for being the potato state. Like, nay, it's actually the gem state, if I'm not mistaken, because that's where most of the raw gems are still dug out.
We're the most resource rich state in actually.
And I heard in elementary school, and I haven't fact checked it, but it's one of those pieces that'll never leave my mind, that if you flatten out all the hills and mountains in Idaho, it would be roughly the same size as Texas, or maybe bigger.
Sense.
And I was like, yeah, it's probably
you got a
right.
Couple of mountain ranges that rip through the middle of this place and up at the top and right. I mean, just huge ones that, like a giant like a giant portion of the center of Idaho, like the eastern center portion of Idaho, is uninhabitable because of the terrain. So, and it's huge. There's a huge area that you have to kind of go around to get, and then they've got ski mountains like Sun Valley and stuff is all like at the base of those, but there's a whole big giant chunk of it that's just uninhabitable. You can't get to unless you're hiking, whatever. But it's a beautiful state. But museums, like we went to the Basque Museum.
Yeah,
like because Boise has the largest Basque community outside of northern Spain in the world. Like I had a client named Iker, and Iker and I tattooed him in Seattle, and I did a big old half sleeve on him, so I had a couple of sessions with him. became really good friends with him. He's given me an open invite anytime I want to go out to the Basque Country, northern Spain, stay with him and his family. But I texted him the last time I was down there. I was like, "Yo, Iker, like, I didn't know about Boise." He goes, "Oh yeah, we don't live here, we live there."
Nice.
And I'm like, "What? Boise, Idaho?" And it made sense because terrain-wise and climate-wise, it's almost identical to northern Spain. So the
Oh,
same
interesting.
agricultural
Yeah.
stuff, all of that. So there was a huge push. A couple of settlers came over, found that area, and then just started inviting everybody. And they ended up working a lot of the, the ranching and a lot of the horse ranching and all of that in the area and the mining.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, all these things because of museums that 5-10 years ago I would not have cared
Right.
at all. Could not have like coerced me into a museum if you tried. Like,
Yeah,
an aquarium, maybe. A zoo, if it's warm enough.
How many sharks? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go.
Only if the sharks are out. If the tigers are out, I'll go. But
right.
not going. Yeah. So give me a baby otter. I'll be fine for 15 minutes, but then I'm done.
Right. But no, other than that,
things you have to suffer through when your kids are little.
Yeah, right. Other than that, I mean, beautiful dinner, lots of good fun. And I didn't get altitude sickness, which is great. I think it's because I'm accustomed to living at around 2,500 feet now. But prior years, having to go through Denver for any length of time coming from sea level used to kick my ass. Couldn't breathe, couldn't sleep, just like sucked. But it wasn't that bad. And it was a good time. Came home. I've got even more travel coming up. So this day like lined up perfectly to do the pod. Cool. So I'm like, if it's before or after this day, I don't know. But yeah, it was a good time. And now it's time to get my Christmas on. And I'm trying to think of a holiday tradition that I can spin up, because now that I'm living here solo, I don't get to do the same stuff that I did as a kid. And we didn't have a whole lot, but one of the things we used to do was we would drive around at night and look at all the house decorations, which was fun, which I carried through to living in Seattle. I would go find all the cool decorated Christmas lights on houses. So I could do that, but I'm going to run this one by you. Here's my thought. I want to find local carolers, Christmas carolers, and just chase them around with cameras and pretend that I'm the paparazzi like the whole time. And just because there's not much they can do, and there's not much I'm doing or anyone else can do. And the homeowner that's impacted by this is going to be just as annoyed with a cameraman as he would be with 12 carolers screaming, dropping the mic around,
adding to it.
Yeah, dropping the mic on figgy pudding and shit. So I'm trying to maybe play test that one a little bit. I'm workshopping it still, but I got to find something to do.
I think that is unique and creative, and I think that it could be something that could spark a trend. And I don't think it harms anybody, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you got a green light from me on that one.
All right, fair enough.
I think that's
we'll have to report back on.
Well, you'll have to build, because you can't just do it and go back home and drink some hot cocoa and laugh to yourself about it. You have to build a social media around this.
Yeah, 100%.
This has got to have a website. This has got to have like Instagram and all of that.
Oh yeah,
and it's so that other people can enjoy caroler paparazzi.
Yeah,
and
I am Christmas annoying, and you can too, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know, something. I gotta find something to do.
Cool. So you had a pleasant time with the lady friend and her family. Is that?
Yeah, it was good. It was not as stressful as I thought it was going to be, which was amazing. And I had to work through part of that, so I was kind of arrested into my laptop, just digging into some last minute work related things. But yeah, it was a good time. I came back relatively healthy, so that's good news. She did not. She's not feeling well. But yeah, it was there's no real stress. Everyone had a good time. Went to a nice dinner, then had a Thanksgiving dinner, and off we went. So there's there's just
you had spoken about some possible drama
Drama.
due to a concert.
Yeah, so the the lady friend's mom's birthday was the night that we were all there, and that was the same night that her brother had tickets to Mariah Carey's Christmas concert, and so it was like, well, you're not going to abandon mom on her birthday, are you? Hell yes, I am. So there was some
Mariah Carey.
differences of opinion on whether Mariah Carey should remain the queen of the holidays or not. But it didn't really matter all that much. Everyone was so damn tired from the flights and, the
Fair enough.
crazy holiday travel business. One thing that I did find really cool, if you're flying out of the Las Vegas airport, you don't have to take off or take your electronics out of your bag anymore. They have like a super scanner. Now, I don't like the idea of having to go through Homeland Security's checkpoints anyway. I think it's invasive and it's a waste of fucking time. But
constitutionally,
yeah,
maybe.
Like if you're that worried, I'm cool with the drug dog giving me the old sniff down while I'm seated somewhere. But anyway, so you don't have to take your stuff out because they just scan it now with like the super X-ray machine. But other airports are like, well, I don't know where you flew out of, but I need you naked right now, and I want everything you've ever thought of to be pulled out of this bag and put on the table. So it was really nice getting out of here, and it was really nice coming home. Plus, you fly back in time by an hour, so you have more of your day than you thought you did. But yeah, that was nice. It was a nice touch. It was like, well, this helps. I fly enough. I need to get on one of those pre-check situations because I don't know about anybody listening, but it is abhorrent to try and get through the airports these days, especially with so many of them being under construction, and two around the holidays, it's lights out. And the Vegas area particularly, we had the F1 race and the holiday, and we've got a big basketball tournament coming, and then there's also a college football tournament is happening, and then the Super Bowl is going to be here in February. So it's just like this string of craziness down here, which is kind of unprecedented. It's, we don't have that level of, there's usually a big fight and a couple of big concerts and whatever, but now there's all this new stuff. So yeah, it's interesting, but it was refreshing to not have to, get the old cavity search on the way through right before you sit in a cramped airplane with screaming kids on it,
I haven't flown since pre-COVID. So like I used to fly weekly going back and forth to Seattle and stuff. And pardon me. And then all over the place. And, I've flown like in October, I think not my last flights, but one of my last big flights is I flew from Seattle to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Vegas for a couple of days and then went to Denver.
Yep.
For a couple of days. Then I went to Charlotte, North Carolina for a couple of days, and then to New Jersey, and then New York, and then back home to Seattle.
That's a 2-hour flight, 2-hour flight, 10-hour flight, 2-hour flight.
Right. Yeah, it was like beep, 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 beep. Yeah, so it was, but it was, a lot of time in those airports, and I never really had a problem with it. I saw a lot of people struggling and stuff, but I had it down to such a system because I was so frequently doing it that I knew exactly what I needed to have ready, and like I never wore a belt. It was a pain in the butt, so I just kept a belt in my bag, so that way once I was through security I could put my belt on. I wore shoes that I could slip off super easy, stuff like that. Just made it as fast as possible for me to get through, so I held no one else behind. I knew I needed 2 tubs every time. Here's this tub for all my stuff.
Yep.
Here's this tub for my bag. Done.
Yeah, I travel pretty efficiently. What kills me is like everyone that's there is kind of in this machine together. And when you get the people, particularly on the aircraft, that are like, I am the most important person in the world because I said so.
Yes. Right.
It's kind of those eye roll moments where it's like, bro, I mean, even on the flight I'm referencing just now, like the captain tells everyone, including the flight attendants to take their seats because we're about to take off. We're literally on the runway, and you can hear the engine start to spin up, and old boy just hops out of his seat and marches up to the bathroom and gets screamed at by the flight attendant. Like, we're taking off right now. Like, you're about to go tumbling into the back of the aircraft. What the fuck?
Is this your first time?
Yeah. Have you done this before?
No.
And it's honestly to get up to speed and,
or have you seen a movie?
Right. To get up to speed and travel height. It's only 10 minutes. If that, it's like, man, hang in there.
Yeah. Work it off, bro. Like, for the rest of us.
So now everyone's kind of eyeballing this guy to make sure he's not just going to freak the fuck out, because that's just what people do. So
yeah, and that's something that's new.
Yeah.
From the COVID era. Like almost every day you see some type of nuttiness on a flight now, and people are getting off flights for just being that guy. Being the guy who feels entitled to do all of it, or feels entitled to scream at somebody or whatever. But like, the absolute degradation of and disregard for just common decency on an airplane has just completely crumbled. It's just gone.
Yeah, and I think COVID really boiled enough blood where people just snapped a little bit, because I've seen stuff, in my work life and outside of that, where it's stuff you couldn't fathom people would do prior to that. It's like they got locked down, they cracked, and then, it's just... Right. Yeah.
But here's an example. Like, I haven't flown, and I did not fly through the COVID era, but I haven't flown since. But especially not during the COVID era. And the reason being is because I would have been the guy who refused to put on the mask.
Right.
I would have been the guy who said, nope, not doing it, and nope, you're not kicking me off. And I would have caused a big scene for other people.
Right.
I would have made everybody else mad, everybody else late, because I needed to prove a point. And I know I would have, and so I opted to say, I'm not going to put anybody else through that. I will travel by ground until all of this nonsense is done. And then I can travel the way I used to. And if it never comes back, then I'll never travel on a plane again, which is a weird concept. But I also know I'm not doing that thing, and I'm not putting other people at an inconvenience, because I have enough self-awareness to know me getting on a plane is going to be the problem.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's because you have tact. Yeah. And I did a fair amount of driving during COVID around. I drove all over the country and, made plans to move out of Seattle, and it's like, I got 1 year to execute this. And it was on that drive that I started to kind of put the Legos together a little bit. And I was like, I'll give yourself a year to execute, and one way or the other, this is going to happen. But I had no need to travel during COVID at that point. So I wasn't faced with that choice, but I did a fair amount of driving, and it still kind of trips me out that people inside their own cars, even today with the windows rolled up, still have their mask on. And it's just like, I'll never take it off. Like, I don't, okay.
It's their MAGA hat.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all it is. It's just to prove what political side of the fence you're on. And they're not scared of a virus in their car. They're not scared of a virus even out in public. It's literally to prove a point. Right. And it is their MAGA hat, and to prove where they stand. And that's it. And to me, that's more sad than somebody being afraid of a virus.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, action-packed evening on the Modern Relics podcast.
Yes. Got any fun stories that have been going on?
Not a whole lot. Nothing that's bringing in that Yuletide feeling, so to speak, as we speed toward Christmas. There's a lot of local politics. There's some, judges throwing out loosely worded reproductive freedoms acts and stuff. They're chucking that out. So it not a whole lot I wanted to dig particularly hard into. What about yourself? It's been quiet here.
Yeah, and I would say even on a national front, it's been relatively quiet, but not. I mean, there's been some stuff going on that I don't even want to really dive into, but just kind of mention and kind of maybe like I don't want to get into the Israel Palestine thing even now. There's still a lot of, I have my surface level opinions, but man, I've been digging historically into a lot of the ancient region of that area and kind of the go between and the back and forth of that region of land, kind of just trying to get better grip and understanding from each side to understand it better. One of the things that did happen this week, though, is, I think it just happened, if I'm not mistaken, today. There was a report that said that Hamas has offered to release all of the hostages in exchange for a full ceasefire. Now, I don't care what side you're on. I've heard kind of war cries from both sides.
Right.
Like, don't ceasefire. Don't ceasefire. Kill the other side to its absolute end.
Yeah.
But from my vantage point, from where I'm sitting in this chair, that's a good deal.
Yeah, I think anytime hostages get to be released, because they're not
especially with that many of them,
they're not war criminals, they're hostages. Then surface level, we're into a good start. I read an article.
Less people dying in a ceasefire. I don't care. Less people dying.
Yeah,
I don't care what the politics are behind it. I don't care what the ethnic or religion issues are behind it.
Right. Yeah.
Just stop killing each other for a little bit. Just please.
Yeah, exactly. And I read a thing that had a post, like a posting timestamp from like 8 hours ago on it that was like, we were agreeing to release 1, maybe 2, and we're going to agree to a ceasefire for another 24 to 48 hours. So what you're reading is good news, because that's progressing even further than the last headline I read on that. So,
and this is coming from the Gateway Pundit, which they tend to be on the money about a lot of stuff. So, now that being said, we've seen exchanges before, and then people going back on their word and ceasefire, not actually following through on the ceasefire.
Yeah, as long as it's not a gotcha moment.
But as long as all these people are released, I'm totally okay. Like ceasefire, that's the deal. And if not, then at least all the people are released, and now we know who the bad guy is for sure.
Correct.
Because if they're taking this deal, Israel's taking this deal, then and getting all their people free and doing a ceasefire, and then they start getting attacked.
Right.
There's it delineates the reality better. And so outside of that, I don't really want to kind of go too far into it, other than to say that's a really great idea.
2 thumbs way up on
2 thumbs way up
releasing hostages and stopping the firing at one another. Right. Is good news.
In other news, a wonderful story out of beautiful sunny California, Anaheim specifically, the wonderful world of Disneyland. Police arrest a man for wandering around Disneyland's It's a Small World ride fully naked. And there's some pretty fun video of a man who obviously, and I don't think he's fully naked. It says that in the report, but like either they digitally put some shorts on this dude, or I'm missing part of the video where he takes them off, but he's got like boxer briefs on, but nothing else. And he's like this probably mid-20s dude who's just wandering around, and It's a Small World, like playing around, like touching the heads of the dolls as they're moving around and stuff, and like looking for doors. He's sitting in the fake water stuff, and he's obviously on some type of chemical substance.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Put him in this position.
He must have rode one of those buses in Seattle and got meth off the
right. Yeah, he's
out of the ambience.
He rode a fentanyl bus down from Seattle to Disneyland. but he, like, I'm gonna confess something on this. I When I was 22, me and my friend Will, Big Will, you know Will,
I do.
and our friend Andy, we decided to go down there for the 4th of July.
Sure.
And what we didn't realize at the time, because it was relatively new way back then, downtown Disney served beer at like the ESPN sports bar.
Love where this is going.
A lot of it. And we went on Pirates of the Caribbean and we got eye patches, hats, and swords. And we were swashbuckling throughout the entire park, knocking over trash cans, scaring couples, because then we would like go after the girl. And Will is a literal giant. I am dwarfed by Will. He's like 6'6" or 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a giant of a man.
I believe my first thing I said to him, and I believe I was drunk when I met him. It was a different time. I think I stood up and saw him and went, "Look at the size of you."
Yeah.
It's a big guy.
And coincidentally, he's the one who gave me my nickname Lucky.
Yeah.
So, but we were we were chasing down girls who had boyfriends intentionally and hitting on the girl, while the boyfriend, we have picture after picture of like this dude just dragging his girlfriend away while they're waving behind, like at us at the camera. And so we
like
were
the
just
OG
obnoxious.
meme, but you're looking back, or she's looking back at you guys. Yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely. And there was just, I had a whole reel of photos of this. It was fantastic. But we, after a few more beers, a few more trips to downtown Disney, we decided the best thing to do was the pirates should go to It's a Small World.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in line, not a single person, which was advantageous for us, but detrimental to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And we get on this boat, and it is a boat. It's in water. And we start swashbuckling between boats, and we're boat hopping. And the guys on the cameras, I mean, thinking back on it, they had to have been just going, "This is insane," but there hasn't been anybody on this ride
in hours, possibly days.
So we're just going to let this one slide while we finally get some entertainment out of this. But yeah, we came out soaking wet because we were just in the water hopping around. So
right, sword fighting. This is
sword
great.
fighting. Yeah, boat to boat, and we get off the ride and nothing. Like we didn't get kicked out of Disneyland.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but this gentleman did. He got kicked out.
Well, there clearly was not enough swashbuckle going on his side of the camp for
more swashbuckle and more clothes.
Yeah,
that was the problem. You had too little clothes and too little swashbuckle.
And you need an eye patch, or you're the fuck out of here. Get him out.
Right. That's exactly right. So, yeah, he was a 26-year-old dude. Doesn't really say much about it. Yeah, he shocked guests, essentially.
Oh, I have a follow-up for you too. This just struck me. Do you remember there was a gal on a recent flight that flipped out because she said that she thought there was like a skinwalker or an alien?
That isn't real, that lady.
Yes. So like I saw this ad roll pop up, I think on YouTube or something, where it's like so-and-so speaks out for the first time. And it has like all these cut scenes of like, you know, the way I felt in the moment and blah, blah, blah. And then it goes back to like her getting escorted out by all the security, and the real story from her mouth, speaks for the first time ever. It's behind a paywall. I was like, okay. So it's probably horse shit, whatever she thought it was. Like, oh, you're going to write a book now? Perfect. Are you going to really tell us what happened on that? You know, like, who cares?
Try to ride this out.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Like, she came out and did a couple of interviews where she basically said that it was nothing. She was just had an altercation with the guy sitting next to her and was worked up, and that was it. And everyone's like, you said the plane was going down.
Right.
You said that it was dangerous to be on this plane and that it was going to blow up and you couldn't stay on it.
Right.
Not move my seat, that guy's an a-hole. Like, not that. You didn't say any of those things. You said that dude back there isn't real.
Yeah.
This whole plane is going to blow up. You all should get off of it. I'm getting off of it right now.
Dude, I guarantee you she would have gotten up to use the restroom right as takeoff was happening.
Of course she would. Yeah, she's exactly that girl. Yeah.
Lights out. Yeah, I saw that literally yesterday, I think, and I was just like, I wonder what she's got to say. And it's like $4.99. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
It takes you to her OnlyFans page.
Only planes.
Only planes.
Here's where I flip out on a 737.
Only flights.
Oh my God, only flights. How hilarious would that be if I keep wanting to call them the sky wait staff, but I know that's not true. The flight attendants.
Yeah, you're not allowed to call them stewardesses anymore.
Well, they're even the guys, whoever, guys, girls, whatever, steward, stewardess, flight attendant, sky waiter. Imagine if they come to your seat and they ask you to please put your electronics down until we've reached cruising altitude, and you tell them I'm creating content for my Only Flights page.
Oh, I'm doing that on the next flight because
that'd be so good.
To this day, I've never once, not once, just to test it. And I'm throwing some dice out on this, but just to test it, never once on a flight have I ever turned my phone off. Ever.
Oh, yeah.
Not once.
It's in my pocket and I forget about it. It's not like you get reception anyway when you put it into airplane mode.
On it. When we're taking off, the guy next to me is like, we're going to die if you don't turn that off. I'm
right.
Like, no, we're not. We're
pretty sure we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I also don't know why you can't get internet. It doesn't make any sense to me. But
no, because you have to pay for it. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and I think, I don't know. I have all these good ideas, man. They just don't ever pan out. I wanted my OnlyFans page to blow up, but it was going to be just fans, like ceiling fans and radiator fans and computer fans, because it was an OnlyFans page. No traffic. Waste of time.
Traffic. Oh, man. You'd think there'd be more interest.
I think Only Planes has a shot. Or Only Flights, or whatever you want to call it.
Flights?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe in the future.
That'd be a fun web hosting domain to buy and then just like copy the Google flight tracker to it. It's onlyflights.com and it's just the same as the flight tracker on Google.
If around Christmas and then it's just Santa.
I am guilty of derailing the holy living shit out of this conversation. So the 26-year-old that got arrested for wearing shorts. That's it. This is going to be a follow-up to see what happens to this person unless he also tells all behind a paywall.
I think that that would be a podcast with Only Flights Lady, which is now her new name, and
yeah,
and then the Disneyland, the Small World Streaker.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should get those two together.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see if we can do a complete feature here first on the Modern Relics podcast. My last pod, we did a whole returning episodic, like he was the perfect Bond villain, but Carlos Ghosn, the old CEO from Nissan that was ousted, then house arrest, then smuggled himself out of his own house inside of a box, like with music equipment, and there was like former special forces guys helping him out and all this stuff, and then he goes out to, I can't remember the country he's from, where there's no extradition, so he could hide as a fugitive to tell his story about it. He was the perfect Bond villain, and we kind of went through what would Carlos Ghosn do in this situation. So I think maybe the Only Flights Lady, when to flip out on stuff, might be a good segment, because there's plenty of those situations too. Almost had a woke logic for this week, but it's under development, so I rest.
Okay.
Okay. Do tell. You had another topic.
Switching gears, but not necessarily. It's actually going to be in Georgia. You heard about this debate that's going to happen?
I have.
Where Sean Hannity, basically, Fox News in human form, is going to moderate kind of really pointless debate between running for, currently running for president, Governor Ron DeSantis,
Mm-hmm.
and the governor, but not running because he missed the deadline. So what's the point?
Right.
Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is slick back pure evil. And
I kind of know why they're going to do this, but go on.
I have theories as to what this is, but they're kind of showing their cards
Mhm.
with just this debate, and it's going to be, which is really weird because Sean Hannity, I think, is in DeSantis's camp.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that he's kind of, even though he's been friends with Trump for a long time, I think he's kind of leaning into the neocon,
Yep.
warmonger kind of camp, and he thinks that DeSantis will be that guy, coming from an ex-military background and also being very, very openly pro-Israel on a lot of things. Although he has reeled back and said that we should not be putting money into Ukraine at all, which is good. But he seems kind of a Manchurian candidate kind of puppet guy.
Yeah.
Against literally the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Like the slick back hair, rules for thee but not for me, master of chaos, Gavin Newsom. The guy who's literally single-handedly destroyed California, got himself put into a recall, barely beat that,
Mhm.
which is questionable that he did. However, I mean, he's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Like, he's just evil to the core. So, like, what is the purpose other than we need to soften the public towards Gavin Newsom in order, because we know that Biden will not be sitting in the Oval Office come January 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, it's twofold. Here's my reach, and this is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt because it doesn't matter. I think that this is our trial run to put you in a debate scenario, to get you in front of public, to get your feet wet a little bit. And while you're there, as you're going to be hopelessly overwhelmed by a conservative or leaning conservative majority in the area of the Southeast where DeSantis is extremely popular and you're not on your home turf, your principal function there is to shoot as many shots at Ron DeSantis to sow some seeds of doubt in the public ahead of a primary, and to get your feet wet on being in stage in front of publics in a debate scenario. I think there's going to be zero substance. I think it's going to be exclusively double talk, and it's going to be virtue signaling to try and deface a running candidate, which in the end, you had asked me this before we worked our audio bugs out, where I couldn't really respond to you off air before we went live. You're like, who wins in this? Sean Hannity wins in this because it's very, very good content.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump wins in this.
Right.
Because it's going to be very easy to say, look what I can do with the fly swatter about these two jackasses. They made fools of themselves on public. Whack.
Yeah.
So
no, it's definitely a win for Donald Trump, because these two are going to, without a doubt, step in piles of crap
big
over
ones.
and over and over
big
again.
ones.
Even with softballs.
And the Democrats will call it a win because they're defacing or throwing shade as hard and as loud as they can for something that's irrelevant if he missed the deadline, did Gavin Newsom, right? So at this point, it's not without merit from a art of the spin perspective in the court of public opinion. But beyond that, it's going to be an absolute fire festival.
My wife falls asleep to that stupid documentary more often than I'm comfortable with.
The Fire Festival one?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
It's cathartic to her.
Wow.
She has the weirdest things that she falls asleep to, like, for a long time. It's always been like Forensic Files or chick murder, right? Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, it's like reporters, which gives me the biggest anxiety in the world. I can't do it. But or something like that, where it's like documentary on cringe tragedy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like tragedy. It's like everything went wrong in a criminal way, but also just cringe way. And like,
you know what's a good one for her to check out then?
What's that?
There's a series owned by Ringer Media in partnership with HBO, and they're releasing like music documentaries, and they're all directed by different up and coming directors, and they're very well done. They did one on Woodstock 99 and what a shit show that was. And it's on, I think it's released via HBO Max at the moment, but it's called, I think it's called Woodstock 99. And then there's a tagline to it, but it's HBO and Ringer Films, and Ringer Media is Bill Simmons' company. And I listen to a lot of Bill Simmons because I'm a big sports guy, but it's really, really, really interesting because they get like artists that were there in 1999 to talk about what they saw in real time when they did that show in New York or whatever. It's like Limp Bizkit's on there and a bunch of like weird names you haven't heard of since the late 90s.
Right.
But it's a fascinating look at tragedy in real time, so I think she would get a kick out of that shit too.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell her to watch the first 15 minutes of that 8 nights in a row.
Yeah.
So I can finish it up over and over again.
You know, I dated somebody once that couldn't fall asleep without television on, right? And I am the exact opposite. I need to be in a tomb. I can't have noise. They're not even white noise. I want darkness, no light, no nothing, because my head doesn't shut off anyway. And if it's on, even if I've seen it a million fucking times, I will stay up and watch the whole goddamn thing because it's just must be completed. I don't know. It's the thing with me. Chicken Run, that movie, the claymation. I don't want to be a pie. And it's an adorable movie and I like it a lot. But when you watch it every night, you know, similar story, would fall asleep in the first 10 minutes and you're just sitting there like, here we go. I wonder what happens when the farmers get home. What's the dog going to do? Yeah. Chicken Run is my probably have seen this more times than I care to admit movie. Yeah.
Isn't that Mel Gibson? Didn't he voice that?
I believe so.
So anyway, yeah, these two guys are gonna go at it for no reason, and that on a surface level, neither one of them are going to be president, so we don't really need to eat this. They don't need to talk it out. So there's obviously an ulterior purpose to this. Why we need to hear what Newsom has to say about anything, and not just, even if you like the guy, he doesn't have a role in this debate. It doesn't make sense for him to be there unless they are propping him up for something else. And without saying it out loud, without actually putting it on paper, without saying it to any other source, but in a way, they're kind of signaling that that's what they're doing. And why DeSantis would agree to engage in that is also very telling as well. Like, why would you bother debating this guy who's not on the ticket?
Right.
Like, what's the point?
It's like a arm wrestling contest that nobody's going to really give a shit about.
Florida versus California.
Yeah.
You know, like,
who's the real Sunshine State? Yeah. I don't know. Somebody recently asked me about the...
I hope somebody asks who has better orange. That's really all that matters.
Yeah. I could see that being... Hannity should make that the banner topic. Each of you get 2 minutes apiece. Let's talk about citrus.
Yeah. He just keeps bringing it back. And they're like, what is he doing?
Why, dude? You know, he's got Sunny D on this counter and Florida Natural. On
he
this
just
counter.
keeps... he keeps drinking orange juice the whole time. I would love that.
Don't brush your teeth right after this, so you'll throw up.
Honestly, I don't think that the viewership's going to be all that high. I don't think people enough care. Like, DeSantis can't draw a crowd, and no one gives a crap about Newsom that doesn't live within California and hate him.
Yeah.
Like, so what is the point of it? Like, I don't think they're going to get. I don't think Fox is going to get the viewership that they think that they're going to get with this. And I think that's what they're gunning for. I think they just are misunderstanding the current temperature of the room.
There's so much,
which is consistent with.
There's so much spin that one could gather from this, because in retrospect, if they run again, right, in the next campaign trail, they're going to be like, well, remember last time they were on television, the ratings were dog shit and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so many different ways you can use this as being a negative point going forward that it just seems completely irrelevant. I, however, will likely be there because I want the content. I'll probably take notes so I can later take shots. Somebody asked me about Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek. It's pronounced Vivek Ramaswamy.
I'm sorry I fucked that up. And they were like, "Well, what?" They're like,
he's
"What?"
Not listening.
Yeah, he's not a regular. I haven't received an email in a long time. The Modern Relics podcast. So they were like, "Well, what do you think of the guy?" And I'm like, honestly, I think the guy is great. I think he's speaking the truth. I think he's got a lot of passion. I think his head's in the right place on a ton of different things. I think the focus should be local, and we should diminish all the traditional conservative value stuff. They're like, so, is that your favorite? I said, I wouldn't vote for this guy in a million fucking years. And they were like, why? Nope. I'm like, because he wants to alter the Constitution. I don't even need to go any further on the other 15 reasons. He wants to literally amend the Constitution in some fashion in one way. And whether I ethically believe in the outcome of that action or not, it opens the floodgates to fuck up every other amendment. And absolutely not. There's not a million years I would ever touch that. That is the last bastion of hope for freedom against the encroaching tyranny of the absolute madness that is the deep left at this point. So
right. And that's the thing, is that there's often we talk very, in my groups and all the political groups around here, we talk fairly frequently on the concept of a convention of states. In fact, some of our legislators actually went out and did a mock one out in DC recently. And so they're kind of already wargaming this kind of concept, which is not good. Right. And we're split down the middle faction wise, because there's people who in my personal opinion, I consider optimists on the topic, and people who are realists on the topic. And I fall into the realist camp. I do not believe that there are enough men, especially within the factions of voting power within our government structure, that have the moral fabric that we can rely on to come out better after a convention of states and an amendment to the Constitution, and that we would come out better and more free than we would with a bunch of evil men controlled by corporate interests and lobbyist money, twisting things in order to steer the country in a direction it never meant to be steered.
Yep.
And there's no way we're coming out of that with the fabric of the men and women that we have today in modern society. I do not trust the moral fabric or character of anybody who's up there. There's probably a total of, in all of Congress and all of the Senate, there is a total of maybe 10 people that I actually trust with that type of decision-making power. And there's literally hundreds of them. And I cannot put the country in that position. Like, we should just use what we have now and enforce it and actually abide by it, rather than say, we're only halfway using it, but let's amend some things because we think we can make it better. And there's guys on our side, on our faction, that think that they're going to come out on top, that we're going to somehow get more freedoms.
No.
And I'm like, that's not how,
this is a timeless classic works. Like, world religions deploy the same tactic. Like, your idea is great, but it's only the stepping stone to a greater edition of my idea, which is the true path.
Right.
Wait, what? It's like the Taoists and the Buddhists eating one another philosophically for who has the deepest path to enlightenment. And this happens over and over and over again. The only radical opinion that I agree with that does not need to be ratified by changing a constitution is term limits, which can be ratified in law. And I'm a huge fan of that. Like, man, if
term limits can be ratified in law, state to state, but it cannot be done federally without a convention of states. which is exactly the tool that they try to
Yes.
use to say, if we do a convention of states, we can do term limits.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because that can be done without a convention of states. I think there's a guy that was talking to Congress about this over and over again. He has a whole thing, and I forget his name, so I apologize. But yeah, he proposed, like, okay, Senate, no more than 12 years, governorship, this, like, you can't get reelected beyond that. I mean, there's rules for the president, so, like, why not trickle down effect? Because, and then he gives all these wild poll statistics about how ineffective and how nobody believes in anybody, which are probably true. And nobody has faith in Congress's ability to execute anything, or the Senate's ability to enforce anything. And it's like, yeah, man, low. It's like, hell, most of you were born, 5 of you were born during World War II. Like, get out of, like, do something else. You can still be useful, but get the fuck out. And I think that's great. But the vehicle that they're using to drive to get there, I don't agree with. Right. And that's for that and other reasons, but that's the main one. I like Vivek, but
Vivek, and there's lots about him that I like.
100%, yeah.
But I think that he is intentionally, like, he's purposefully saying the things that he knows a particular base wants to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels controlled. It feels contrived. It feels like he knows all of the keywords to use, and like he'll invoke God.
Right.
God controls our lives, kind of thing, right? But he's invoking intentionally by being evasive with the language, where he's saying he's invoking a Christian God when he doesn't believe in a Christian God. He's Hindu.
That's one of the other reasons that I'm like, this just seems
super deceptive,
slightly disingenuous.
He's also been ripping off all of Obama's talking points and just putting, like, conservative catchphrases within Obama whole speeches. Right. He's used Obama speeches. Not to mention, he's got a history in pharmaceuticals that I don't trust. He also, all of his law school, a bunch of his law school was paid by George Soros. Like, he took. That's the other
reason. That's one of the other reasons that I was like,
he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and like, he says all the right things, and I will ride this wagon in order, because he's not talking down on Trump. He's actually lifting Trump up,
and he's ripping apart CNN anchors left and right, and it's just fun.
It's fantastic. And I was like,
just fun.
We'll use you for now,
right?
But no way are you touching the Oval Office.
And I think he has to know that.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, he does.
But yeah, that's interesting. It's a topic of conversation that's even splitting some of your friends apart, as far as Huh.
So,
anyway, debate's coming up. When is that? When is the DeSantis thing airing on the old Fox? Old Fox and the Hound.
The much anticipated debate. Who's anticipating this?
I mean, it'd be better if it was a pay-per-view.
Right. It looks like 10:30, 11 p.m. Fox News. I'm trying to find it.
Thought it was next.
I can't even say.
Thought it was next week.
Probably is. Of course, they gotta be super wordy about it. Just tell us when it's at, man. Very long article with not the right information. They just want to talk about what they're doing. 90-minute televised. Thursday, November 30th. So next Thursday. Actually, 2 days from now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's this week. So, great.
Yeah. So it'll be on Thursday. We'll see how that goes. I'll probably just catch all the highlights on a other show. Like,
if it wasn't being aired by Fox, if I could find a restream from a PBS station, we could do a live podcast and react in real time on a stream, which would be
that'd be fun.
Super fun.
Super fun. I would love to do a roast cast.
Yeah. Full MST3K style.
Fox is throwing, like, lawsuits all over the place for guys who are doing that.
Yeah, so, that's why I was like, if PBS is going to catch it, or what is it, the one that always has a YouTube station running that's in the Congress, the C-SPAN, maybe some shit like that.
C-SPAN, yeah.
Something like that, where it's a public access one. That would be.
Yeah.
I'll dig around and see if we don't fuck up copyright, because I think that'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Yeah. I would have to play around with my schedule.
Yeah, we'll
figure
see.
it out.
We'll see. We'll figure it out. So you want to talk about a movie that you saw? I'm gonna give you the floor, but I will say I mentioned that I watched The Killer recently on Netflix, and you did too. And Singer did this movie. I think it's a wonderful performance.
Not Singer.
Or not Bryan Singer. What's his name? Sorry.
Fincher. David Fincher.
David Fincher. That's Fincher.
Right. Yeah. If nobody's familiar with his work, he did like Fight Club,
yep.
Seven, Panic Room, and he's done a bunch of other films too. Those are just from our era.
Yes.
Of like when Fincher was like the hottest. You know, if Fincher put out a film, you watched it.
Yeah, and I still kind of feel that way. Like it didn't.
I do too.
It didn't disappoint. I didn't know what I was expecting, but when you hand me the Smiths entirely on the soundtrack from start to finish, I'm in. I don't give a fuck what's going on. I thought that was great, and Fassbender's awesome. I'm not a big Tilda Swinton fan, and she was even great in that film. So,
which is funny because I am.
Are you?
I have a weird thing for her. Like it's
I've never got it.
She's an alien, and
yes,
she's creepy. But I joke with my wife. I was like, I don't know, like. There couldn't be a woman further from a physical description of my wife than Tilda Swinton.
Sure.
And, but it is like, and she's old, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. She's just weird. But I've always enjoyed her in everything from Constantine to The Beach and everything else that she's been in, even like Doctor Strange and stuff like that. I always liked Tilda Swinton because I find her eerily fascinating. But this movie was a slow burn, but it was
so good,
Fincher-esque, to the core. Like, you know, and I loved it. It was had just enough action and just enough of, but the dialogue in it is Fincher dialogue.
Very much. That's what I like most about it. Yeah, the narration
really
scenes in the beginning, and you're like, this is kind of a slow mover for, you know, a dude that admittedly loves explosions and ninjas and whatever else you can throw into films. That was really good, but Netflix is pouring it on, man. I got through Reptile last night, which is a Benicio del Toro film with Justin Timberlake in it. Also really good.
Okay, that's been on my radar.
Yep, it's like a kind of an old school cop whodunit type of film, and there's a couple of different protagonists in it, but it's really well done. But yeah, I'm glad you liked that one. That was one that hit my radar. But you had a movie that you were gonna talk to us about. We're done with the Hollywood horror movies, I assume, for the.
This is kind of.
Okay.
This one also fits those into that category because it was one that. Man, this is gonna tie up a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
One that I really wanted to see that had been recommended to me, but I did not have the streaming service that it was only appearing on. And so I just kind of went, I'll see it if it comes to anything else, like Amazon or something like that. However, right after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Amazon or Hulu, which is the streaming service that it was on, were like, we'll give you this for 99 cents a month for a full year if you just please come back. We're like, all right, like $12 ain't bad. So we spent the $12 and got Hulu for a year, right? First thing that pops up was this movie that I had forgotten that I wanted to see, and it popped up. And it is also kind of touches into the kind of the alien stuff that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It is an alien movie, and it's one of the better alien movies that I've seen in a long time. And it's called No One Will Save You, and it came out in 2023, and I think it was a Hulu exclusive. And no one of real note in it. Caitlin Dever is the one who plays the main character, the protagonist in it. The only thing that I recognize her, but the only thing I recognized her from was the Tim Allen Last Man Standing kind of
Yeah.
conservative sitcom thing. Like she was one of the, I think she was the youngest daughter, Evie, and but she's a full grown adult in this, so she's no longer a teenager. But it is an excellent kind of alien experience movie. And it's about this shut in girl who obviously has had some type of traumatic situation background. But she's managing. She sews clothes. She just lives in this old house, and I think it's in Georgia. And you kind of get the gist that like her mother had passed away because she's visiting her grave, and she sews dresses and stuff and then mails them out to make money. But she lives alone. No one's around.
Is Sean Hannity involved in any way? Okay.
No,
got it.
No. So or oranges. So,
okay. Well,
but Georgia.
Okay.
I
gotcha.
saw the connection. So,
yeah.
But she one night starts, or throughout a day, she starts seeing like weird things, like a yellow circle in her grass, and she's spraying it down. And like, where did this come from? Why is there a circle? And then there's a few odd things, but nothing really triggering. And then that night, like she gets woken up to something walking around on her porch. And so she doesn't have any weapons or anything, but she's terrified and living alone in this big, like 3-story creeper house. And turns out it's like this very well done, like gray alien.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like hunting her down in the house, but very like methodically. And she's trying to hide from it. And it's like making weird clicky noises and all sorts of fun stuff. And it's got a better quality than like the aliens from Signs.
Mm-hmm.
And it is basically a survival story of this girl who realizes after a very hellish night of trying to survive this alien, wakes up in the morning after she has killed one of them and tries to go to town after it's basically destroyed her house, go to town to go try to get some help. And you're kind of getting the backstory of her trauma of a friend and parents of the friend and all the stuff that it kind of is unraveling as the story goes. The craziest part about this movie, there's no dialogue. It is silent. It is, and not silent in the sense that there's no like noises or clicks or cars and then you can hear murmuring of people talking in the background. She has 3 words in the whole movie.
Wow.
And it is so well done and so atmospheric and so moody and amazingly acted. And then the special effects are great. The storyline is great. It's creepy, but at the same time, like, fun and action packed and heartfelt. It's a really well done alien movie, and they do not hold back on the flying saucers. They do not hold back on aliens and different types of them, and you get to see a bunch of them and them coming after her and her having to try to get out of town only not to be able to do it, and like all sorts of really fun action stuff. But the aliens were really impressive and her acting was impressive. Highly recommend it. Probably 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
So
yeah, as you're describing that, Angel's interest level, and then you're like, and then she lives in an uber creepy house, and now it's hunting her. I'm probably not going to watch it. She survives the night after killing one. All right, I'm out.
Well, it's not gory, though.
It's just terrifying, right?
Yeah, just terrifying.
You get to see the haunt and the horror in her eyes as she tries to survive not getting caught by this thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good, dude. But no, I appreciate films like that, done like that, where it's pure atmosphere and emotion. And it's like, I can get behind stuff like that. So I'm sure it's awesome. I probably won't, Hulu or not.
Venture into that.
Yeah. Hulu or no, I'm probably, might be out on that one.
But also tying the movie into the fact that we had to get Hulu for it because of
Mm-hmm.
Black Friday sales. Have you heard about all of what's been? Have you seen any of the videos online about like what's going on in Black with all the Black Friday stuff on the retail box stores?
No, I haven't. But when you pitch that to me, in at the top of the show before we went live, I actually kind of had 2 points that I came to that realization this Black Friday, Cyber Monday shopping experience where I'm like, well, that's not even like that. That's not even a deal. So
Right.
I'm not going to bury the lead. Go ahead.
Well, so you know, Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Small Business Saturday, but specifically Black Friday. Retails go into this sale frenzy to try to get as much sales as they can holiday.
Yep, they got to
And this is
close the year
obvious,
out by putting their books in the black because most are operating near or in the red, and so that's why it's called Black Friday.
and so they normally do these massive sales, big giant discounts, and people beat each other up to get items, balls, whatever they
Right,
get.
the Tickle Me Elmo saga.
Right. Um, I've never participated because I don't like people enough to even bother saving money. But so, and I'm not getting up early and I'm not standing in the cold. I'm not doing any of that. But I
Right.
find it amusing that it is probably very apparent due to Biden's economy that even all of these major box stores have not actually seen uh, the projected sales that they anticipated
Mm-hmm.
because of a downturned economy and nobody's spending money and nobody
Yeah,
can
you're
afford
spending
anything.
part of your holiday budget filling up the tank so you can go outdoor busting on Black Friday. Like,
Right, but I'm saying
yeah.
this is going on since
Oh,
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
year
Yeah.
now. So they thought, well, we can't cancel Black Friday, but what we can do is pretend that we've put everything on sale.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's video after video coming out of Best Buy and Walmart, Target, and all of these major box retailers where people are going through with their cameras looking at these big sale. And then they pull the sale card away for the original price. Original price is exactly the same.
Yep.
Exactly the same over and over and over again. I've seen video after video of countrywide of this going on. And then like it blossomed into online sales, Black
Mm-hmm.
Friday online sales, where people are like, "Oh, look, these headphones that are $40, um, they're on sale for 15." And then they go through the search history, which you can do of the sales of that product through that company, and it's all been $15
The whole
the
time.
entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they upped it to make it look like that there was a sale going on, and it's literally across the board. There's like clip mashed together clips of all of these people doing it over and over and over and over again, and it is hilarious that is what's going on right now. And
Yeah, and when there's stuff that I want and just haven't gotten around to getting, which is rare because I'm not a big thirst for the newest, latest, greatest stuff. I'm like, if I need one, I'll buy the best of whatever it is, and then I usually hang on to it for a decade. And I just treat it really well. And it's like, oh, that looks brand new. Like, well, yeah, I try and take care of it. But if I know what it is and I'm researching it, I'll kind of know the price history because I research the living shit out of stuff and I look at a million different retailers and things like that. Those were my two experiences, was looking at stuff where I'm like, this is not even, and if you consider 5% off, it's like, that's not even the full tax that you would pay on the MSRP or manufacturer suggested retail price for it. This is not a deal at all. Like, but the big banner logos and Black Friday sale and marked all the way off at 5%. It's kind of a joke. So yeah, I saw that twice in stuff I was looking at and I was just like, ugh, that's bad. But if you're pulling back the sale card and it's the original price the whole time, I think there's laws against that in some states. Are there not?
I think that there are too. And I think that two things are going to be coming out of it. One, there's probably going to be lawsuits.
Sure.
And probably regionally and state to state, there's probably going to be lawsuits that kind of correspond with that. But then also, you're going to see that once the dust settles after this holiday season, a whole bunch of businesses, and I'm thinking a reduction in a huge reduction in box stores, such
Mm-hmm.
as Best Buy and a couple of the other ones that were already kind of hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
But then, even the bigger retailers like Walmart and Target are going to start seeing. We're going to start seeing like huge reduction in their their business models,
Their
and they're going to
business
have to
model
start pulling back.
doesn't work anyway. I went into a Walmart recently to get supplies ahead of traveling, and I needed, because there's one not far from me, and I was like, I'll go in there. I'm going to get like a travel size shampoo bottle. You know what I mean? Like the small under 100 milliliter, whatever fluids that you need, mouthwash, stuff like that. And I was shocked at how inconvenient the convenience store is now, because everything's locked up behind glass, right? And they've inserted all these kiosks all over the store. So they're like, well, I can unlock this for you, but you have to pay for it here. Okay. Did that. Go to the next area. I'm still shopping for stuff. Oh, you have to pay for that here. Now I have 2 bags. Okay. You know what? Third time, just put it in here. And then I'm walking out, and then security does the Costco thing where they read the receipt and they have to check through all your stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, if you're that worried about loss prevention as it is now, I mean, then it's going to incentivize criminals to steal from me because I'm carrying a paid for piece of merchandise that they could then manufacture a receipt to you for. So right. At the end of this, I guess
you're San Francisco.
Yeah, like your answer to loss prevention is at the end of that line, me knocking some motherfucker out for trying to rob me inside your store. I mean, is it loss prevention or health risk? You pick it at some point. He kind of chuckled, right. And I was like, I'm not kidding, man. Like, this is how Amazon wins. No offense, but deuces. Yeah. And then I went home and I was just like, fuck, dude. So yeah, if that's going to be the going trend, box stores were already on the way down for that and other reasons, but it was a nightmare trying to shop just to get travel supplies. I mean, literally I wanted to go in and out. I was there for probably 30 minutes longer than I needed to be, just to get somebody to come over and unlock a razor blade and then make me pay for it there, and on and on and on at each little section I went to. So
yeah, we haven't
how it goes now.
We haven't gotten that to that level yet in my neck of the woods, as far as like them locking everything up.
Yeah.
Now, metropolitan areas, obviously, such as Seattle, and I would even imagine Spokane, Portland, all the way down California, and then probably even into the Vegas regions, and probably all over the East Coast. Any major city of,
I think when they make those
100,000 or more.
Yeah, when they make those changes, they're probably district wide. So it's probably Nevada, Southern California, Southern Utah. Like I assume that's it, because I mean it's pretty sleepy where I'm at. So
to be fair, it's a little different atmosphere in North Idaho where I'm at, where
true,
half the people in the store are armed,
openly carrying,
right, so like it is a different animal altogether when you're not sure who's armed and who isn't, and there's a good chance that they are. And so shoplifting tends to be one of our, actually, funny enough, it is barely even a blip on who's sitting in our jails right now, if at all.
Mm-hmm.
We actually just went through the entire jail list of who's here, and the number one of our full Nevada, or wrong county, Kootenai County Jail, the number, like, big chunk of who's overfilling our jails right now is drugs and fentanyl. Fentanyl is being piped through I-90 here, and so we get a lot of those, and so there's a lot of people sitting in that jail for fentanyl. Surprisingly, the number 2 amount, and this was wild. Erin did all the checking and statistics herself. She went through the whole list of who's sitting in the jail right now. Number 2, incidences with minors.
Wow.
That many, because
Wow.
Drunk driving and DUI stuff was third and a distant third.
That would have been my guess. Would have been
right.
drunk driving. Yeah.
Would have been second, right?
Yeah.
Or first even.
Right.
But then like domestic violence was like fourth and a far distant underneath that. But right underneath like fentanyl and drugs was incidences with children, like minors. And it was like wild to just look at that statistic and go, what is happening? But
come on, Kootenai County. We don't want domestic violence to lose. Get out there.
Yeah. Come on. Get on out there. But you would think that, like,
Jesus, that makes me sick.
In Kootenai County, I know, right?
Yeah.
You'd think that we would definitely have like shoplifters because it's a small area,
right?
But nope, not at all. Barely any, and it's due to that kind of public peace that is brought around. So all of these other crimes take precedent, like heavy drug use that is coming from Washington and Montana. And then you've also got, this bizarre influx of criminal activity with assaulting minors in some capacity or another. Like, it's pretty broad, but it is all sexual and minor related. So,
damn, dude.
But yeah, really creepy. But how did we go from shoplifting?
I know. Black Friday.
Black Friday. That's right. Okay.
Yep. So. Tell us about your Black Friday shopping experience. Did you save? Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
So Christmas is on its way.
It is.
We talked a little bit about traditions I need to fire up. Do you have any family traditions around the holidays? What's your number one thing? Like the other thing in truth that I actually still do is I make, it's kind of dumb, but I make those Pillsbury orange cinnamon rolls.
Oh yeah.
I love them. And I make them once a year. I make them on Christmas morning. That's my thing. But what do you guys have any traditions that y'all do? Talk to me about this. We got to turn this around a little bit from Kootenai County's inmate reasons.
Yeah, right.
Before we close out.
So Christmas for us is pretty awesome. We're all Christmas heads here. We all love Christmas. So
yeah.
I came home the other night and the kids, to make me happy, had already decorated the house. It was like the day after Thanksgiving.
Let's go.
So the house is already all Christmased up. Outside of the tree, which we go and get the tree together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all decorate it together. And we'll do some light, go look at lights and stuff like that from time to time. I grew up in a town that we used to have a thing called Victorian Christmas, where they would shut down an entire street in Nevada City, and it was just magical. Everyone was dressed up. They had the like street fiddlers, and people were roasting nuts, chestnuts, and like it was all Victorian era. And they had street vendors all over the place that were all themed, and it was just carolers everywhere. And I could not paint a better picture of how Christmas should feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I always kind of pine for that kind of feel.
Yeah.
And try to bring it to my kids. But that being said, Christmas Eve is kind of where we start. We watch all of the movies.
Yes.
We listen to a lot of Christmas music. I force it at the shop because they're all
bah humbuggish
about everything. So, but I'm like, I don't care. It's Christmas. We're listening to Christmas.
Like, don't make me swashbuckle. You're listening to Christmas.
I will small world you in a heartbeat. But anyway, Christmas Eve is where it really gets started, because we have a tradition that is really odd that most people don't have, and it's because we typically host for Christmas dinner. So it's typically, after we're done doing all of our morning stuff, we put together the Christmas dinner and start getting that going and have some people over. But Christmas Eve, you're allowed to come over, but we have a set plan. And every year, to make it easy on us, we do hot wings. We do hot wings on Christmas every Christmas Eve.
Nice.
And so I'll do a couple of different flavors, and we'll just make a bunch of them, and obviously this year they'll be on the smoker.
Yeah.
So they'll be the best.
Have you done that yet?
Oh, dude,
They're incredible,
so many
aren't
times. They're the best.
Yeah.
Like I've never had better wings than the ones that come off that smoker. So I'm really looking forward to Christmas Eve this year for exactly that. But and then we let the kids open up their one present, which is shared, which we have done since they were very little. And we do this. We keep the same box. It's a big box. And every year they get a new pair of PJs. They get a new pair of either socks or slippers. They get a new movie, like a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever. That is a movie that they've wanted to see all year, but never got around to doing it or whatever. They get a packet of popcorn each, and then they get a packet of hot cocoa each. And that's their Christmas Eve.
Nice.
And so that way they've always had something to open up, and then we watch a movie as we all hang out, drinking hot cocoa and eating popcorn. And then I read a book that I got the night before Christmas. Even now, doesn't matter how old they get. Every year since they were little, I've read The Night Before Christmas to them, which is a book that they got from a friend's mom, like one of our friends, like the girl too. It was actually Camber's mom gave it to us.
A name I haven't heard in a decade.
Right. But her mom, by the way, her mom passed away. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I am so out of touch with
but
no Facebook, like it melted away. Yeah.
Her mom died, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and it was kind of a sudden thing, if that makes sense. But she gave us this book and wrote in it to him, and I've read it every year.
Nice.
Every year. And then the kids go to bed, we get up, we start a fire, we put on Christmas music, we get our coffee, and then we let them tear open the stockings.
Nice.
While our dogs shred paper around them. And then we go to one person gets picked every year to be the Santa, and then we get to pass out everything. And then we do dinner, typically with family. But,
you're chock full of holiday tradition, man.
I am.
That's incredible.
We do it every year. I love this holiday, and I always have. But I mean, I've got even little traditions, like the kids each get an orange in each one of their stockings, stuff like that, like old traditions that my parents passed on to me, and it kind of integrated with Erin's her few traditions. She doesn't come from a real like sentimental family,
sure,
hyper traditional family, but
her stocking had a potato in it.
Yeah.
No.
Here's a wrench. Don't bite on it. But yeah, it's something that we really love to do.
I want to put a potato in the wife's stocking for no reason. It's really, you can peel it, you can bake it, and here you go.
Whatever you want. It's your world. It's your potato.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah.
If she watches this later, I apologize in advance. I'm not going to send you a potato.
She loves potatoes, so I guess she'd be happy either way. But yeah, we just really, really embrace the holiday spirit. Oh, there's another thing that we've started doing. And it's crazy. It's so much fun. And we do it every year now. The Speedway down here in Post Falls, like on State Line.
Yeah.
So every year now, one of the local churches and the Raceway get together, and a couple of different sponsors, and they literally build an entire mini Bethlehem. And it's got vendors, and you can build there's a blacksmith there that makes stuff. The kids get to blacksmith, and
that's cool.
They make you actually buy like mites, which are like little coins instead of so you can't spend real money. You have to buy like a little baggie of these, like, and there's Roman soldiers wandering around in
Will they rob you?
They're trying to tax you. Yeah, they all go.
Oh, dude.
It's hilarious. But there's animals everywhere. There's like donkeys and roosters and like pigs and chickens, and they're everywhere. And there's all these fronts. There's buildings you can go into, and there's little stores inside. They've got axe throwing for whatever reason.
Sure.
And then but then they do a full like broadcasted, like they've got this whole speaker system and lighting system.
Yeah.
And they do the full story of Mary coming in on the donkey, and have actors that do it, and they do the whole like wise men coming down and the whole birth of Christ.
Oh man.
And it is dope. Like they do a really good job with this.
I would love to see it. I don't think I would do well if I was accosted by Roman soldiers. I'd be like,
they're high school kids.
I'm gonna knock the frankincense and myrrh out of your pockets, dude. You can get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that sounds rad. And this is done at the drag strip at the State Line Motor Speedway. Nice.
Yeah, the circular speedway. They take up one half of it, and it's the length of it.
Oh, that's rad.
And so, and it's crazy. It's so cool. And it's weird that like the construction of the buildings have hangovers. There's hay everywhere. It looks like Bethlehem, and they've got like sound going on in the background and like lights and stuff. And oh, dude, it's so cool. Like they do a really good job. Everyone's all. What's funny is one of the animals that keeps coming back every year is a blind rooster, and he can't see, but he's just the sweetest little rooster that lets everyone just kind of pet him. But there's probably like, I don't know, 5 donkeys, a whole bunch of goats and sheep, a whole bunch of like 20 chickens, like a couple of cows, like baby cows are just roaming around, and it's wild. They've done such a good job of putting this together. It's so cool. And so we do that every year too. We'll take other families with us, and we'll all go as a group, and
nice.
The kids will buy like I have an amazing knife that was made out of a railroad tie.
Oh yeah,
I got from there. Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
that came from that. So, but all sorts of really cool stuff that you can get there and buy there. Beeswax candles that someone makes on site, and then you can get like hot cocoa while you're there, which it's pretty cool. It's so much fun, and it's something that the kids really enjoy and that we really enjoy, and it's something that really celebrates the true spirit of Christmas. And I really value that instead of Santa and commercialization, even though I enjoy that portion.
Right.
The idea that we get to actually participate in a yearly event that actually really celebrates what it's truly about is important to me and my family. So I really love it.
That's great. Yeah, I want to hop on a call for like 5 minutes Christmas morning with the family as well, and do the aloha from the dirty South, as it were, in the Badlands where I live. Just to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and stuff would be cool, because I am actually going to be here at home, God willing, for Christmas this year, which is going to be great. Last year, all the travel stuff was a nightmare. None of the planes flew. People were on the plane at 2 a.m. Oh, the pilot's coming from LA, and then they're going to switch planes. You'll be the last one out. You made it. And then the pilot never came. And by 3:45 in the morning, everyone's off the plane, and they all had to go home, and they're crying. They're crying real hard. Now I've got 5 days worth of meal planning done for hosting my first Christmas in my house. Nobody's here. So did the whole smoke the prime rib, was amazing. And now I'm like giving it away to neighbors. Like, I have so much food that's going to spoil because I'm missing this many people. So yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it again this year. It's going to be very low key. It's going to be a solo adventure. So yeah, I'll hop on. I'll say, we'll maybe do a Discord call. I think she will. But that's it. And, you know,
and you've been bugging Dad to come out. Right?
I got to start with him in June and be like, hey, start sowing the seeds. Like, well, what about Christmas? You can, you know, I'll just get you a ticket. You can go, yeah, bring them too. And, oh shit, you know, I forgot we got this and that. And so it never happens. But I know for a fact it's easier for one person to go to where people are at. You know what I mean? It's like, way easier than packing up an army of folks to come down here. But sometimes it would be cool. You know what I mean? Like if you guys make it out, because I know you have like the family reunion thing to do. That's great because I could be a pit stop on the way for a day or two or something like that. But yeah, it's always challenging. But I was like, last year I was really hyped, and I mean, I wrapped all the presents. I took my time. I did it really well, and I hate doing that. Here's a gift bag. Like I suck at wrapping presents. Not my thing. I had all the stockings out, and it was just fucking nobody came. There's no reindeer. There was no airplanes. Nothing. So I'm like, I'm just gonna hard chill on that and relax this year a little bit, which I'm actually looking forward to. And then I got some work travel after that. But yeah, we'll hop on a Discord call. We'll say Merry Christmas to folks, and we'll go from there. But
that'd be great. Yeah, I'll gather everybody up, and we'll spend we'll spend a 20-30 minute call with you and kind of make sure everyone gets to wish each other happy holidays and all that. But
sounds greedy.
We still have a couple more weeks before that. So
I know it's like the month of Christmas is here, and it's not even December 1st yet. So,
no.
Well, what do you say, man?
Well, I'm solid.
Solid.
I think we touched on a great many important issues tonight, and I think that we covered them all and fixed the world's problems
That's
yet again, week to week.
It's, you know what, and internet radio superstardom starts right here, and so I'm glad to be on the upswing, early investment, as it were.
Yep.
Reach out to us at modernrelicspodcast@gmail.com. You could check us out there on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And we're also live streaming on YouTube for those of you that are not watching already. Come on by and check us out. We're usually here Tuesday evenings, about 5-ish Pacific time. Until we see you again, have a good night.